In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
Hey! Whoa, 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 hey! What's up?
Go now.
From a man in Nevada assaulting a judge with a baseball bat, to a suspect in Mississippi headbutting a sheriff's deputy, these courtroom outbursts are as shocking as they are dangerous. What drives these convicts to such extreme actions? And how do these explosive moments take place in what should be the most controlled environment?
What's up?
Let me tell you about this wild courtroom incident in Cape Coral, Florida. So, there's this guy named Joseph Zeeler. He's not your everyday criminal. He's been charged with the brutal murder of an 11-year-old girl and her babysitter. The case dates back to May 1990, when Robin Cornell and her babysitter, Lisa Story, were found assaulted and murdered in their home. The scene was discovered by Robin's mom, Jan Cornell, and it was gruesome. For over 2 decades, the case went cold until 2016, when Zeeler was arrested for shooting and injuring his own son. They took his DNA, entered it into the database, and bam, there was a match with the DNA from the 1990 crime scene.
Post-conviction DNA testing. I'm confident of that because I know where I've been. I ain't been there. I wanted to because the reason for that is on death row, you get all your attorneys for your post-conviction for free. You get the best attorneys in the country.
So fast forward to the courtroom, Zeeler is there for his sentencing, and things take a crazy turn. He's sitting there, handcuffed, and at one point, he asks his defense attorney for a private discussion. As the lawyer leans in, out of nowhere, Zeeler throws an elbow and hits his own lawyer. Can you believe that? The courtroom was stunned, but the detectives quickly subdued him.
That the death penalty would be a proportionate sentence in this case. Therefore, the court concludes that under the laws of the state of Florida, the defendant has forfeited his right to live. Accordingly, it is ordered and adjudged that the defendant, Joseph Adam Zeeler, is hereby sentenced to death for the murder of Robin Cornell and the murder of Lisa Story.
After the chaos settled, Zeeler still had to face the music for his horrendous crimes. The jury found him guilty of first-degree murder for both Robin and Lisa. At sentencing, the judge didn't hold back. Citing the gravity and seriousness of his actions, the judge sentenced Zeeler to death. The court concluded that the death penalty was the appropriate sentence, given the nature of his crimes. It was one of those moments that you just don't expect to happen, especially in a courtroom. It really shows you the kind of person Zeeler is. Not just capable of horrendous crimes, but also of attacking his own lawyer in court. If you thought this was crazy, wait till you see the next one.
My personal life is your business.
But before he could even get 1 to 2 sentences into his testimony, Melissa Hardwick has already begun to interrupt.
Nothing to do with
Miss Hardwick,
no.
you will be held in contempt of this court if you become disruptive.
I don't care.
But Miss Hardwick does not back down, and she doesn't shut up.
I haven't done anything to this court. Haven't done anything to him.
She will be arrested for contempt of the court.
It doesn't make any difference.
You will serve 10 days for contempt of court.
There was this insane incident that went down in Russell and Wayne County Family Court in Kentucky. Nancy Melissa Hardwick, who was in court for a domestic violence hearing. Her ex-husband had filed a domestic violence order against her, and things got heated really fast. During the hearing, Melissa was already on edge. As her ex-husband was explaining the situation, she suddenly erupted in anger. She started yelling and causing a scene, which is never a good idea in a courtroom. The judge warned her to calm down, but Melissa wasn't having any of it. She kept shouting and eventually leaped towards the judge.
Go now.
Adam Dodson steps in.
Get off of me!
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
We hear her yelling and flapping around on the ground.
The courtroom deputies quickly intervened and stopped her before she could reach the judge. She was arrested on the spot for contempt of court. But that wasn't the end of it. Because of her outburst and the threats she made, she faced additional criminal charges. In the end, Melissa was sentenced to 120 days in prison for contempt of court. It was a wild scene, and it just goes to show how quickly things can escalate in court when emotions run high. But did you hear about what happened to the judge in Kentucky?
Can you order that?
Yeah.
That be yes?
Yes.
I want to try this case. I have any further proceedings, or I have to see you for one further set. Set the preliminary hearing next week.
This was a super crazy courtroom hearing, this time involving a guy named Bass Webb in Kentucky. Webb was already in deep trouble, facing attempted murder charges. But what he did in court took things to a whole new level. During his appearance before Judge Vanessa Dixon, Webb decided to make a statement by literally spitting on her. Yeah, he actually spat on the judge. The courtroom was in shock, and Judge Dixon, understandably, was taken by surprise. But Webb's defiance didn't stop there. While awaiting trial, Webb started a riot with other inmates in the Fayette County Detention Center. The situation got so out of hand that officers had to use beanbag bullets and pepper balls to control him. Webb even swung a metal telephone box at a corrections officer during the chaos. Because of his continuous violent behavior, Webb racked up more charges and ended up with a whopping 52-year prison sentence for various offenses. This guy just couldn't stay out of trouble, and his actions in and out of court only made things worse for him. It's a reminder of how some individuals can turn a bad situation into a complete disaster with their actions.
Mr. Redden, is there anything you want to say on your own behalf before I pronounce sentence?
So basically, I would like to tell the courts, everyone here, like, based on my criminal history, like, I feel that, like, I shouldn't be, like, sent to prison for a second time.
Then, a wild courtroom incident that happened in Clark County, Nevada. It involves a 30-year-old guy named Deobra Redden. This guy was facing charges for attempted battery after he allegedly attacked someone with a baseball bat. He was in court for his sentencing, and at first, he seemed pretty calm. But things took a crazy turn. During the sentencing, Redden had this calm, almost casual exchange with Judge Mary Kay Huss. He was trying to convince her that he deserved a second chance and shouldn't be sent to prison again. He even mentioned that he was in a better place in his life now, not doing drugs or committing crimes. Judge Huss, however, wasn't convinced. She reminded Redden of his extensive criminal history, including 3 felonies, multiple misdemeanors, and several domestic violence incidents. She was firm, saying it was time for him to face the consequences.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
That's when things went off the rails. Out of nowhere, Redden launched himself over the courtroom bench and attacked Judge Huss. It was absolute chaos. Alarms went off, and people were calling for help. Eventually, deputies managed to restrain him, but not before the courtroom was left in a state of shock. The consequences for Redden were severe. He now faces new charges, including attempted murder, battery, and extortion by threat. What started as a sentencing for attempted battery turned into a full-blown courtroom drama with serious repercussions. Which brings us to this crazy incident in a Mississippi courtroom involving a guy named Daniel Stewart Berry. Daniel was a business major student, but he ended up getting charged with strong arm robbery. Apparently, He robbed a store by leaping over the counter, putting a female clerk in a headlock, and grabbing money from the cash register. Not a good look for a business major, right?
What's up? Yeah.
So, Daniel was being taken to court, and this is where things got really wild. He was clearly not in his right mind because he was under the influence of drugs. As he was being escorted by a sheriff's deputy, Daniel suddenly lost it. He cursed and then headbutted the deputy, breaking the poor guy's nose. Can you imagine? It was a brutal and unexpected attack. The courtroom security quickly jumped in and detained Daniel, but the damage was already done. Because of this violent outburst, he faced additional assault charges. The judge wasn't taking any chances and set his bond at a hefty $200,000. This incident highlights how volatile and unpredictable courtroom situations can be, especially when the defendant is under the influence of drugs. It also shows how quickly things can escalate from bad to worse with just one rash decision. Daniel's actions not only hurt the deputy, but also severely impacted his own legal situation, making it much more complicated. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more court highlights.